Alright, what's up, y'all? I know we haven't been active very much due to myself being pretty stinking busy recently, but it is NBA playoff time, and that's kind of my area of expertise, so I'm going to be trying to do at least some 5-10 minute recaps after most days of playoff games, as well as, right now, obviously, I'm going to give y'all my playoff predictions. So, this year has some very interesting, very fun matchups in the first round that I don't think should be happening, but due to injury they're happening. My Suns being one of those teams. But, yeah, let's just jump right into it. Round one for the East, we've got 76ers, Wizards. The thing with this matchup, there's nobody to stop Embiid. That's going to be a constant for the most part with the 76ers, and every series they play, there's not going to be anyone that's going to be able to stop Embiid. But I think the Wizards, especially after playing their first game, might have a chance to steal a game, but I'm probably going to go Sixers. I'm probably going to go Sixers and 5 on this one. Wizards, you can prove me wrong. Also, I did want to mention I have seen every single game one at this point. I'm just now getting around to doing this. So every game one is passed, and the only game two that's going on right now is Milwaukee-Miami, which Milwaukee is up 78-51 at halftime. So that's pretty crazy. I think Bryn Forbes was like 5 for 8 at the half on threes. I don't know how, but he was going off. Now, this next series is a very, very fun series. Knicks-Hawks. Knicks basketball is finally back. Knicks are in the playoffs for the first time since, I believe, 2013. They've looked really, really good this year. Julius Randle did not have a good game one, yet they still almost won if it wasn't for that Trae Young floater. I think this is a very good series, and even with the Hawks stealing home court in game one, I'm going to give it to the Knicks, but I'm going to give it to them in 7. It's going to be a very, very hard-fought series. I think the Knicks take one of games either 3 or 4 to even up the series. Then home team wins it from there. But it's going to be a very good series. Now, Bucks Heat. Going into this video, going into today, I had Bucks in 6 or 7. Probably Bucks in 7. After what I just witnessed, I think Miami would be lucky to not get swept. Give me the Bucks in 5. I think completely talented team. From what I've seen thus far from the Heat, though, they're not putting up that wall that they put up last year that was able to be so effective against Giannis. Drew Holiday is a huge upgrade from Eric Bledsoe. He's not shying away in the playoffs. Chris Middleton has looked really good, especially hitting the game winner against the Heat in game 1. And now their whole supporting cast is hitting a crap ton of threes in game 2. If they can keep that up, yeah, Bucks look really good. And then Nets Celtics. I'll give them the gentleman's sweep. I'll give them the gentleman's sleep as well, but give me the Nets. Celtics are phenomenal. Would be a lot better if they had Jaylen Brown. Without Jaylen Brown, I just don't think they can keep up the offensive output that the Nets put out, and we saw that in game 1. Jason Tatum and Kemba Walker looked like they couldn't miss in the first quarter or the first half, and then come second half when they started cooling down, the Nets couldn't miss, and they just outplayed them in the second half. So I think that speaks for itself, setting up a really fun second round. Now we go to the Western first round, Jazz Grizzlies. I know Grizzlies took game 1, so because of that, I'm going to give them a couple games, but I still think with Donovan Mitchell coming back, I still think the Jazz take this in 6. I'm not as high on the Jazz as I am on other teams, but I'm not super low on them either, like I know some people are. But, yeah, give me Jazz in 6 in that one. Clippers Mavericks I had going to 7 before game 1. I still have it going to 7 after game 1. I do think the Clippers will find a way to win this series, but it's going to be a dogfight. And I don't know why they haven't put Kawhi on Luka yet. But Kawhi needs to be guarding Luka at this point because nobody can stop Luka at this point. We need to throw the best defender on him. Let Kawhi show why he's a 2-time DPOY and why he's a 2 times Finals MVP, and let him go to work against Luka. And then obviously Paul George was 1 for 7 after the first quarter. Paul George has got to step up, man. He did this last year, and that's why they lost. He's got to step up. Nuggets Trailblazers. This one, I would be very, very confident in the Nuggets with Jamal Murray. I did see game 1, and Damian Lillard got hot. I still think I'm going to go with the Nuggets in an edge here. I just think the Nuggets supporting cast needs to get going. And once the Nuggets supporting cast gets going, I think it'll be a lot easier, but I think it'll be a very close series and a very fun series regardless. Game 2 of that's actually next after this blowouts commenced over here. And the one, Suns-Lakers. Suns-Lakers is the hardest one, man. Game 1 was really interesting. Personally, I probably sound like a homer, but I think I'm going to take the Suns. I think I'm going to take the Suns in 6. I'm going to take them in 6. I don't think they survive if they have to play a Game 7 against the King. I don't think they survive. But I think they can go. I think they can win all their home games and go into Los Angeles up 3-2 and steal it. I would not be surprised to see the Lakers win it. I just think the Lakers have some problems. I think the Suns are a really, really complete team, but not many people are. Not that people aren't taking it seriously, because every video I've seen is like, oh yeah, the Suns are really good, but the Lakers are better. They just got unlucky with the draw. I think this is perfect, though. Unlike the Clippers, who, tanked at the end of the season so they could avoid the Lakers. No. We're going to play them in round 1. You know why? Because the best chance to beat this Lakers team is round 1 before they can get going. If you have to meet them in the conference finals, you're done. If the Lakers win this series, they're in the NBA finals, in my opinion. But I don't think they get out of it. I think the Suns, the young Suns, find a way to edge it out in 6. That one I could be completely wrong on, though. All right, the Eastern Conference semifinals. 76ers versus Knicks is going to be a fun series. I mean, Nerlens Noel is a good defender. If Taj Gibson is having to play against Embiid, that's not going to be good. I love the Knicks, but give me the Sixers again I'll give them 2 games. I'll give the Knicks 2 games. I say 76ers close that series out in 6. This one y'all might be interested by, but give me Bucks in 6. That's right. I'm saying goodbye to the Nets in the second round. The Nets are a phenomenal team. I could be completely wrong with this. This series could go either way. I've seen so many people pick Nets and a couple people pick Bucks. I think this is the Bucks' year, man. I mean, Kevin Durant's going to have to guard Giannis, and as good as of a defender as Kevin Durant is, I don't know how long he can sustain that. Obviously, Jrue Holiday. I would assume Jrue Holiday is going to be trying to lock down James Harden. I prefer him to be on James Harden versus Kyrie in that series. And then the biggest thing is Dante DiVincenzo, or whoever they're going to throw at the third guy, has to play well on defense against the third guy. But I think with Jrue Holiday specifically locking down the perimeter, I think... Why do I keep getting ads on this thing? This is supposed to be a live... Okay. Sorry. I think Jrue Holiday just has that edge on the perimeter to lock it down, and then they can lock it down in the post. And I think the Bucks... I think they tie it up the first 2 games. I think the Bucks steal one in game... I think the Bucks steal Game 5 in Brooklyn. And then once they go back to Game 6, I don't think they get out of it. So, it's going to be a fun series, though. Now the Western semis, Jazz and Clippers. Now, presuming the Clippers don't completely choke this series away, the Clippers have more depth and the Clippers have more talent. I'm very inclined to pick the Jazz just solely because of the Clippers' track record. But I am going to go with the better team in this situation, which in this case would be the Clippers. I'm going to take the Clippers in probably 6. They'll be able to close it out at home. Jazz are allowing about 75% capacity, so they're going to have a nice home court advantage, but I think the Clippers can steal one in Utah and then will win in the Staples Center. As long as Chris Paul is playing well. Go down to Nuggets Suns. This one's a little bit simpler. As good as the Nuggets are, without Jamal Murray, it's so much harder for me to put them past the winner of Suns Lakers. I mean, especially if it's the Suns, it's like Ayton and Crowder can do enough inside to slow down Jokic. The guards on the outside can play at least decent defense against like Will Barton and Monte. Is Monte Morris still there? And where's Will Barton still there? I think they are. And then obviously they're gonna have an offensive field day. The biggest one in this is the wild card of Michael Porter Jr. Michael Porter Jr. plays well. This could be a really, really good series. I think it'll be a really, really close series regardless. But I am going to take the Suns probably in 6. I took 6 games for every single one of these rounds. And so now we have our conference finals. So 76ers Bucks is going to be, again, a really, really fun one. Embiid is going to have some fun in the post, but I think Brook Lopez is kind of going to be the best defensive matchup he's seen thus far, which isn't really saying a lot, but there's not really crazy defensive matchups. But Tobias Harris is going to have to play really well on defense against Giannis. And then you've got Drew Holiday on the outside. You've got Chris Middleton at the 3. I mean, yes, this Sixers team has pieces, and they have good depth, and they have backup pieces. They have Matisse Thybulle's a great 3-and-D player. And obviously, you've got Ben Simmons to lock up on top. I mean, Drew Holiday's good, but he's never been, like, the most offensive presence in the world. I mean, he's good on offense, don't get me wrong, but he's not, like, the offensive star of that show, so that should be fine. Danny Green, obviously playoff pedigree and all that, so he's a great player. I know I'm forgetting some people. I know there's somebody I'm forgetting, and people are going to yell at me for forgetting. 76ers are a phenomenal team, but I just think the talent on the Bucks works so well together. I know, and I think this is their year where they're finally putting it together. I think their biggest challenge is getting past the Nets and the Sixers, but I do think they get past the Sixers. I do think they get past them in 6. I would go 7, but I don't think they can win a 7th game. I think they'll steal one of them. I think they'll steal one of the first 2 games and then close it out at home in Game 6. And then Clippers-Suns. This one's a really, really tough one. Again. But I do think, and I just, after last year, it's so hard to pick the Clippers, man. And the Suns have been on such a good year. And if they beat the Lakers, they have so much confidence rolling if they beat the Lakers. Whereas I feel like the Clippers are scared. I don't feel like the Clippers, and I physically watched. Like I was at one of the Suns Clippers games. I think it was the last Suns Clippers game of the year when they clinched the playoffs, and Chris Paul got those MVP chants. I was there. That was a really, really fun game. And as good as the Clippers are, and as good as that game was, I think the Suns take it in 7. I think it's gonna be a really close game, or a really, really close series, and I think the home team wins each one. But I think the Suns advance, setting up Suns-Bucks as the NBA Finals, which is such an interesting matchup, honestly. I would love to see this matchup. This would be really, really, really fun. I'm a Pistons fan. I forgot to put the NBA champion thing. I'm a Pistons fan, so obviously I wouldn't like to see the Bucks. I obviously want to see the Suns. My preference would be Suns-Sixers or Suns-Knicks, but Suns-Knicks but Suns-Sixers would be phenomenal. But this is what I think is going to happen, and honestly, in this one, I gotta do it. I think they do it. I think they finally get over the hump. I think the Milwaukee Bucks will take this one in 7, or nah, we'll take it 6 again. I think the Bucks will win this one in 7. There's really no good matchup for Giannis. I mean, they're obviously they're gonna play pretty well. Ayton and Crowder are going to play pretty well and match up decently, but if Saric has any minutes out there against the Bucks, against Giannis, it's not going to go well. And Drew Holiday on the outside, I would presume they're going to swap Drew Holiday and put him on Devin Booker. They might keep Drew Holiday on Chris Paul. Either way, he's going to be on one of those 2 guys. I would assume they want him down on the best scorer, though. And then just playing decent defense against Chris Paul, they can beat him up defensively. They have a better defensive team. I don't know if they're technically a better defensive team, but they have a really high-scoring offense. I think they said they're the number one in points per game scored this year. So I think the Bucks would just be too much for the Suns. I think the Suns would put up a great fight, and it'd be amazing to see the Suns in the NBA Finals again. But I think the Bucks take it. I think whoever makes it out of that Suns-Lakers series is going to the finals, though. I think if the Lakers win it, they're going to the finals, and if the Suns win it, they're going to the finals. Very close with all of them. I think the Lakers are a more safe bet, but I just don't. I don't know. I feel like the Suns are something this year, and that might be me being hometown bias. But whatever. But that's my picks for the NBA playoffs. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I hope you have a great playoffs. Like I said, I'll be trying to post small little recap videos at the end of each night. So have a good one.